So we're talking to Klaus Klipp, Secretary-General of the Assembly of European Regions, and we're here at an event that's been discussing the follow-on to Copenhagen and how regions can assist and be involved with mitigating and stemming the emissions for climate change. Now, obviously, regions have a huge role to play. If you think about a local government, they control street lighting and hospitals and churches and schools and goodness only knows what. So what element, how much do you think can be done by the local regions?
Now, there is clear evidence that about 50 to 70% of adaptation and mitigation in the context of climate change will be done on the local and regional level. Personally, I think it's more 70 than 50%. And it is much more than what you just mentioned. Energy is a very vast sector. Mm-hmm. It starts with global goals. Then you have national laws. You have the involvement of citizens, changing of behavior. You have the question of energy efficiency in buildings, in lighting. You have questions like spatial planning, investments that regions do themselves in energy because they run energy companies or they run networks. It goes down to the training of craftsmen who do not know how to build a building energy efficient, who are not knowing how to work with new technologies, how to install heating from the ground in a family house, things like that. If they don't know it, who can do it? You need the expert. So all of these things come together, and if you really reflect about it, you see that these matters are very, very much happening on the local and regional level. And we presented a survey today that shows very clearly that since many years, regions are already very active in the context of energy efficiency, renewable energies, and so on and so on. So they are kind of the real players, where on one side in Copenhagen, in a global context, you have discussions. On the other side, you need the people that put things in place and make a reality out of it. And I think that goes well together with the citizens who are aware of these things. They would like to see that change. What is the real challenge which we are facing now in Europe is to make that bridge between the global and European general aims and then on the other hand the citizens. Because if citizens, if politicians on the ground, if companies, also small companies who use sometimes a lot of energy depending on what they are doing, if they don't have this sense of ownership, you can make many rules as much as you like, but it will not happen.
Sure. Now, I mean, there's many things in place already, things like the Covenant of Mayors, for example, making huge strides forwards in these areas. Yeah. But then there are also the very big projects, things like low-carbon energy generation, that really are going to be handled on a local level rather than a national level. Yeah. Do you think that there's been enough movement so far in this, or is there still a lot more to go?
The movement on the level of regions is happening already since many years, and it's moving rather fast, I would say. Okay. We saw from our survey that all regions say that in the next 15 years one of the top priorities is energy. We saw in the survey that about 2/3 of our members have an energy strategy in place. We saw from the survey that a large number, I think something like 30-40%, already work with intelligent grids, and another 30-40% say we know that we have to deal with that and it's coming, we're preparing ourselves for that. So these things are happening already. Yeah. What is lacking at the moment is, I think, to make that bridge between, on the one side, the global debates and also European energy policy, and make that bridge to what is happening already on the regional level. I think to give the impression that in global talks you make a decision and then things are done by themselves, that doesn't work like that. We need this process of transforming, and not only transforming. If people don't feel that they are taken serious as real partners from the beginning, and if decisions are done on a global level and then afterwards they are told now you have to implement, they are less engaged, they are less motivated, obviously, than being partners from the beginning. And I think this bridging, that is a real challenge that we are facing at the moment. We saw, if I could add something, yesterday we heard from the Commissioner of Regional Policy that the money that is provided by the European Union for energy projects does not really go out. It's still there, while funding for other areas is working well and people ask for it. And I think there might be an issue there too, to think about what is the reason for that. Is it maybe procedures that make it complicated? And then kind of to say, not what can regions do for us in Europe, but what the European Union can do also for the regions and for the citizens in Europe.
Now, it's funny you should mention the disconnect, because quite clearly at places like Copenhagen, it's the top level of governments discussing amongst themselves, trying to find a legally binding agreement. We hope one day they'll manage it. But ultimately, as you say, the people, the man on the street, the local government, the local councillor, that's the person that has to implement and really make the changes. You know, if Gordon Brown changes something in his lifestyle, that's wonderful. That doesn't help the rest of the planet particularly. So somehow everybody else has got to do something. Now, it certainly strikes me that local government, local councillors, they have a huge communication job, a huge role to play. What would you say to that?
They do that. I know in particular from the UK, our county councils, which are members in AR, they run awareness campaigns with citizens. They do green procurement themselves. They work on energy efficiencies in everything that they can influence, starting from their own buildings. They make information campaigns for businesses, what they can do to save money by saving energy. What are the possibilities for renewable energies and so on. So they don't have too many competences, they don't have too much money, but they try to do what they can do, and that is in the first place communication. And that is not happening only in the UK, that is happening in France, that is happening in a lot of other countries. And I noticed also that let's say the level of information or know-how about this climate matter, energy matter, renewable energies, energy efficiency is different in different countries. Myself, I was involved in Hessen. I worked there in the regional administration in the 80s, and we already started on making subsidies for engaging people to save money on energy. And then I think you see across Europe you are at different stages. But for example, again, from our survey that we did, one of the most striking examples is that now apparently that has hit everywhere, this awareness about the energy, and not only in the European Union, also very strong, and not only very strong in the Eastern European countries, which are part of the European Union, but we have also members from Serbia, from Croatia, from countries outside the European Union that are also heavily involved in this.
Excellent. Klaus, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.